Has any Redditor been kidnapped? If yes, what is your story? I've posted this story before, but here goes. I was in Turkey for a while in my early 20s with 2 friends. We had made quite a few friends in the coffee shops. They were mostly Kurdish and I was pretty oblivious to the racial tension there. One day walking through the market, 5 men walked up to us. The 4 beefiest surrounded us while the 5th told us we were invited to tea at his place and to come. He was all smiles, but the beefy dudes and general posture of them all made it clear what the score was. We were escorted back to a shop with a few more scary guys and the patriarch of the family. The doors were closed and bolted, and the window shades drawn down. For the next 5 hours we were guests. It started mostly outwardly polite and utterly terrifying with polite veiled threats. When they served us tea, we were sure it would be drugged, but couldn't refuse and escalate the situation. It culminated with them trying to hand the 3 of us swords, while the rest of them stood around us with swords in hand smiling and talking about how some of them had been in the family for generations and been used to take the heads off of Western Europeans in the Crusades. BS, I'm sure, but the point was taken. I was absolutely sure if we took the swords they offered, we'd be cut down and they'd have plausible deniability and could claim we attacked them or tried to rob the place. We remained calm and kept declining the swords politely as they got angrier and angrier. They finally let us go with a warning to mind who we associated with because sometimes people disappear. Scariest 5 hours of my life and I have no idea how it ended well for us. This is so scary. Not me. My public speaking teacher was telling us how she had another class do a 5-minute speech on something important in their lives. Most were boring ass presentations, mostly hobbies or a weird vacation in Cuba. Then a guy finishes his presentation with, and that's when the FBI showed up and rescued me, because the people vacationing with me were not, in fact, my family. They were drug dealers who'd kidnapped me from my home, smuggled me to Cuba, and were demanding $XM for my safe return. Damn. Almost, although I didn't realize it until way later. My parents both worked a lot and so I had a nanny basically to pick me up from school. One day she didn't show, but some dude I'd never seen before did and was asking around trying to find me, saying that she'd been injured and sent him to take me home. I'd never seen him before, and he had no idea who he was looking for. 100% sure in retrospect that I'd have been kidnapped if TD gone with him. My parents had a code word with my sister and I for this sort of situation. If someone showed up to pick us up from school, friend's house, etc. who wasn't the person originally supposed to pick us up, we were to ask them for the password. Even if they were a dear family friend or other relative, we were supposed to ask. If they actually had been sent by my parents, they would know the password. If not, then under no circumstances were we to go anywhere with them. Not me, but my roommate at the time. We lived in Johannesburg and studied at the local university. One day I'm at class and he is at home. He steps outside to get something from his car. It's a typical SAR block of flats with tall walls and a motorized steel gate. Some guy climbs over the gate, runs up to him and throws him inside the house. Demands he gets the house keys and drags him outside to his car that was waiting on the street. He then takes my friend on a trip around Johannesburg, collecting debts owed to him. Can only imagine he is a drug dealer. After a good 6 hours of driving around, my friend is now scared shitless. The guy takes him home, drives into the driveway, strolls into the house and locks him in his room while he casually takes a shower. He comes back out and steals everything from my friend, clothes and all, makes himself a sandwich and leaves like nothing happened. My friend is still traumatized and this happened around 5 years ago. Lesson to learn: always keep your house locked, even if you have fancy security, electric fences and all that jazz. Sometimes this country amazes me. Johannesburg is wild. I was almost kidnapped once. I was visiting the mall with some others and left alone to go to the bathroom, which was down a long isolated hallway. When I came out of the women's bathroom, a dirty old man rushed out of the men's and pinned me up against the wall. There was an emergency exit at the end of the hallway, and he was dragging me toward it when another dude came out of the bathroom. He was big and bald and looked like a biker, complete with vest. He yelled hey and the old man dropped me and ran. I was 15 when I was like 5 I was playing in front of my grandma's house. I guess a man just scooped me up and put me on his back and started running. My grandma somehow quickly realized what's happening and all the kids started screaming. So she started the run after him, and as he was getting further, every woman from each house comes out with their flip-flop in their hands. The guy gets scared and drops me off and runs off. Now I didn't understand what was happening. I just have the memory of being on someone's back and that person running. I remember all the women one by one coming out. Imagine tightly put small row houses, including my grandma. You and I were both very lucky. Who knows what would have happened if these men got away with us. Was almost kidnapped when I was about 2.5. Went in our family vacation to Germany. Quite a bold move with a 2-year-old in my opinion. My mom told me we were at a train station waiting and she noticed a man obviously pretending to have a heart attack. My mom leaned over to warn my aunt that she knew he was faking it as a distraction and to watch her purse. While she did that though, a lady walked by and just picked me up. My mom grabbed me back and the lady tried to tell her it was okay and was trying to take me back. But obviously my mom kept telling her no. We found out later that this was relatively common at the train station, as it was easy for them to grab a kid, jump on a train, and quickly be in a different country. Holy shit, your mom kicks ass. Not me, my sister. Didn't get her, but sure they were up to something. I think I was about 6 or 7 when 2 guys in a white van pulled up outside our house. Me and my sister were riding our scooters up and down out front. My sister was about 4 at the time and Theed pulled up next to her. I remember hearing them say, "Do you want some sweeties?" and watching her walk straight up to the van. Literally threw the scooter down, ran over, grabbed her and started shouting really loudly, "This man is a stranger," while attempting to drag her back in. She was screaming and crying because she wanted the sweets. The guys sat there until my dad came out the front door. I don't know if they were hoping she'd get away from me and run to them, and that's why they stayed that extra minute or so while I was screaming. They dangled the bag out of the window to tempt her. It was a white van and Werther's originals, so the typical stereotype dirty old man tools. My mum was beside herself once she found out, super wary after that. Damn, good job 6 or 7-year-old you. My friend was almost kidnapped once. She had found some people online she wanted to meet. After much debate I agreed to go with her to meet them in a park. Since I had a bad feeling I brought my dog with me just as a little security measure. They gave my friend alcohol but didn't drink themselves. After hanging out with them for a while I decided it was time to go. We started walking towards one way and they walked towards the opposite way to their friend who had came in a van to pick them up. They call out for my friend to come and meet their friend. Drunk and stupid as she was, she hurries over there and the driver grabs her arm and tries to pull her into the car. She is resisting, so he dropped his grip on her and she falls back on the ground. It happened very fast and I was far away from them. So I took off the leash from my dog and took hold on the collar and got him all excited. My dog is growling and pulling against them by now and I scream that I will send the dog on them if they don't stop. They open the back of the van and tries to grab her again. Then I let my dog loose. My scary looking dog ran growling at full speed against them and then they let her go and jumped in the car and drove away. She was lucky that I brought my kind of unstable dog that day. My kind of unstable dog, LOL. Out of curiosity, what kind of dog do you have? A pit bull mix. He was friendly with me but he had some issues. When I was around 7-8 years old, my mom took me to a karate lesson for the first time. The dojo was in a strip mall. The lesson ended and as I was leaving the room, for whatever reason I was the last one out. A man approached me asking if I enjoyed the lesson. I told him he did and asked if he was a friend of my mom. He was dressed normally, not an instructor, and didn't have a kid with him. So I was confused as to his interest in me. He told me he was not a friend of my mom's, but that he and I would be friends. He put his arm around my shoulder and started walking towards the front door. As we approached the exit, I saw my mom chatting with the instructor in his office through the small window on the door. The office was right next to the exit in the handle within reaching distance. I quickly reached for the door handle, turned, and pushed. The man left my side and walked out the front door before the door to the office fully swung open. I walked in and the instructor me mom started asking about the lesson, if I enjoyed it, etc. As we talked, I asked about the man. Neither the instructor or my mom seemed to know who I was talking about and shrugged it off. After we left, I told my mom it wasn't for me and never went back. It wasn't until a decade later when I finally grasped the possibility of the situation. I wish the instructor had rearranged that guy's face with his feet.